Hello, friends. Welcome back to Great People Interview Series. We have with us Elisabet. Hi, Elisabet.
Hi, Sachin. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Great to have you. She is an international leadership and cultural strategist working across industries, supporting leaders, teams, and organizations to navigate change, digital transformation. Well, you heard about this, right? um, Disruption through leadership and healthy cultures. Well, as you can see her and her backdrop, she is an author. Yes, absolutely. 3 books on Amazon, bestseller. So, with that, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Elisabet again. And Elisabet, just tell us more about your business and what you do.
Well, thank you. Yes, so we work with big companies, we work with small companies, but whatever we do, it's always a question of how do people work together? How do you lead? How do you collaborate? What kind of culture do you create? So it's all about the sort of human interactions within a business and really tapping into that and not just letting that sort of take on its own life, if you like, but really creating awareness of this. So, for example, when we work with leaders, if we work with an organization going through a lot of change, we typically, the kind of thing we'll do is we'll work with the leaders, with the leadership team to really think about not just what do we need to do, how do we need to operate, but how do we need to lead together? What kind of culture do we create? Are we creating hope and sort of making people look forward and wanting to find solutions? Or are we creating a fearful workplace where people don't want to try things out because they're fearful of making mistakes? So it's very much about those human interactions and understanding that as a driving force for business success. And it's been particularly relevant, as the world becomes more and more digital. And, certainly the last few years of pandemic has driven a lot of business to become much more online, of course. And then it becomes even more important to not just rely on digital tools to think that will solve all the problems. If we just have the right tools, people can communicate, they can collaborate. But, if they don't like each other or they don't trust each other, they're not going to collaborate any better just because they have good tools. So, we focus on all of those kind of aspects, those really human aspects, but really business success driving factors if you work with them.
Well, fantastic. I must say, to the audience again, we had lots of speakers and entrepreneurs and founders who shared their stories of business success and the journeys. And we have seen, the business element, the marketing, the operations, and the other elements. But I'm so glad to say that, it's the culture that we're talking today. So that's a fresh, untouched topic. And I'm so glad I have with us, the real master on the subject. So, Elisabet, just enlighten us a little bit more about, the importance of culture in relation to, what we always focus on is the revenues and the profits.
Yes. I mean, the culture, I think what's interesting with culture is that there is always a culture. So either, whether we think about it or not, there's a culture, because culture is how we do things around here. If you're going to make it very simple, It's about that. It's like the undercurrents. It's the things you pick up that you sort of observe other people do. So, for example, imagine a leader who says to people, okay, I really want you all to have a good work-life balance. So I want to make sure that, if you're in the office or if you're working from home, I really want you to switch off at 5, for example, because I want you to have a good balance and do other things as well. And then the leader doesn't do that themselves. So they may say, yeah, you switch off at 5, but they don't do. So the leader themselves don't do. And then, of course, people have heard that, yes, you should switch off at 5, but they can see that the leader themselves don't do it. And then they're thinking, oh, they didn't really mean that. Okay, now I'm confused. So that creates a little bit of hesitancy. And also people are saying that it's just all words, but they don't mean it. And that creates a distance between the leader and people. And that's how culture works, is this whole idea. It's not just what we say, but it's what we actually do that people pick up, because we are very clever. People are very clever. We're constantly picking up little clues about what do they really mean. And when that doesn't, the say-do ratio between what we say and what we actually do, if that doesn't marry up, it creates a lot of uncertainty and even friction, if you like. So the culture really is getting beyond looking at processes. And you can to some degree understand that people sometimes say culture just seems so fluffy. What is it really? You can't pinpoint it. And that's when it's easier with processes and procedures and tools, because you can say, okay, we're going to use these tools, we're going to use it this way, and this is the process for handling a customer, whatever that may be. But if you don't overlay that with, how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we work as a team, for example? What kind of culture do we need as a team? How much do we need to collaborate? How do we make sure that we share information with one another? Because if we don't do that, we haven't got the whole picture. And all of those things are sort of cultural overlays, if you like. And of course, the leader sits at the core of this. It starts at the top, but it all layers in an organization, if it's a bigger one. What the leader does tends to become the norm. So a lot of the work we do is about that. How do you get the leaders to really understand, what am I creating? What kind of ripples come out from me in what I do and say, and what effect does that have?
Yeah, wonderful. So the name of your organization is Think Solutions.
Yes.
So tell me more about, how do you name it, Think Solutions, and why?
Yeah, so Think Solutions really comes from, and we actually have the logo as well, is actually a person. So it's actually the outline of a person. And it's really saying that to be a successful business, you need to bring your people together and use the brain power of people, thinking and having people think together. Because the world moves so fast, the only way to find new solutions continuously is to use that collective intelligence of everyone within the team, within the organization, with partners you work with, really make the most of that brain power. So it's having people think and be creative together. That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is also that when it comes to being a successful business, you need to think of people. So it's going both ways. It's about people think, and you need to think of people. And those are the two sort of dualities, I guess, of why we're called Think.
Yeah. Amazing. So just wanted to understand, what's your backstory and how did you come up with this thought of doing what you do today? But, wanted to understand the whole journey.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm happy to share that. So I think I've always been interested in human interaction. I started off doing some service jobs, this whole idea of what do you create for other people? How do you make people feel? And I used to work for American Express, and I started off in Stockholm, in Sweden, where I'm from, and then moved to the UK to a new European head office that was set up. And at the time, we had a new leader for Europe who was saying they really, really, really wanted to focus on the culture of the organization. And there was a strong culture there already, but they were saying, we understand how important this is, because the people that we have, they create what our customers experience, whether directly or through other people. And therefore, we really want to work on that. And for me, that was like a dream come true. I was like, oh, I want to be part of that. That sounds so sane, so sound, and so success driving. And he absolutely was. So I ended up being part of a team and then leading a team that was really working with the executive team to help them understand what is going on out there. What is the culture like? What are people experiencing? And how can you as leaders shape the kind of culture that you want? And then we help to design and deliver a number of solutions for them. So, and this was an incredible journey. I mean, absolutely fantastic, and across a number of countries as well. So it was the sort of the cultural overlay from a national culture as well, if you like.
Yeah.
And then when I set up my own business, I was like, this is what I'm about. This is what what I'm passionate about, and I know the difference it makes. And that's, and then it's continued on that note, really.
Well, you are highly successful today, with lots of customers, lots of, good projects that you executed, and 3 books to your name as well. But I'm sure you must have had your own challenges. So what do you think, was the biggest challenge that you had?
I think there are always challenges, and I think a big one for us was around the financial recession, sort of 2009, around there, where, again, a little bit like I think a lot of companies have experienced through the pandemic, that business changed, and some work that you had would stop completely. A number of things happened, and that was certainly the case during recession. And we had some quite large clients, which can always be a little risky, especially if they're also going through a really difficult period and have to sort of start to cut down. But sometimes these things are also blessings in disguise. So it really prompted us. It can be so easy to just keep running. If you're doing something that's very steady, you run and run and run. But when that gets sort of challenged, you have to think new. And I think for us, it was very much of okay, we need to not just do what we've always done. We need to be much more in the moment now and say, what's going on for people? What's going on for businesses? What do they really need? And how do we give them what they really need, rather than just keep doing what we've always done?
Yeah. Wonderful.
Mm.
Well, having heard, the culture is about meeting people and, working together physically. And now we're talking about digital transformation. So are there any tools, digital tools, that you sometimes recommend or use for organizations who are not necessarily very big, so they won't be ready to spend a lot, but are there any tools that you suggest organizations can use to, in the direction of building the culture and making people feel as if they're working together?
Absolutely. So I think any kind of video is very helpful. So, using some kind of video tool, like whether it's Zoom or Teams, or it depends on, of course, what digital suite you have. But those kind of things are really important, because people need to see each other. And even though you only get so much information from just seeing someone's face, because you miss out on other body language, which can be really powerful. But on regular intervals, really seeing people helps a lot. But I think some of the other ones are also making it easy for people to work together. There are other tools, of course, everything from, it can be OneDrive, or where you share information, where you share documents. And if there's one thing that we see a lot, is that sometimes companies struggle with, there are so many tools that people get confused, and people are not sure what to use for what. So one of the things we often say is that, as much as you work on how we work together as an organization culturally, you need to align that with the right tools. And part of the how becomes being very, very clear on, we use, again, OneDrive for this, we use email for this, we use Slack for this, we use Zoom for this. And so that people don't waste time trying to find things, because we see that a lot, where people are like, oh, I've seen something about that. Someone sent me some kind of information about this. But also doing things socially online is very helpful. But also talking about culture. So it's not just about seeing each other, it's actually talking, what does it mean, working out the shared how, how are we going to be spending time together, making sure you use these tools to also share information and insights and all those kind of things. Again, not just talking goals or processes, but actually talking about some of the things behind it that actually leads to that.
Yeah. Also, I was just thinking, other than work, so when we are in one office, we talk about, my son's cricket and your kids, etc. But especially if we are on a Zoom call, we can't really get to that point unless it's just to you and me. But sometimes, even if we are more in the office, 3-4 of us, we still have these informal conversations. So in this digital world, how do you reckon people would do that?
Well, I think some of it, you may want to set up calls just to be social, for example,
right,
and to recognize that actually, let's just get together with a cup of coffee. Or even, I know some companies that they will have a whole team sitting, working online, but separately, which may sound a bit funny. But so imagine that you have a team of 10 people. Everyone is at their desk at home, or there might be someone in the office, I guess, but they can all see each other on the screen, and they will just sit and work as if they were sitting next to each other in the office. And that might mean that someone now and then will say something like, actually, oh, can I ask? And it sounds funny, but it's actually quite effective, because you still have you are there together, and you have then the opportunity to now and then reach out the way that you would do if you were in the same place. Because it's often those spontaneous ideas that come up, or spontaneous requests for input, that can be so powerful.
Yeah. That's a very interesting idea, by the way. Even if not for the whole day, you could probably have
an hour, maybe
a couple of hours, or just an hour, where you just turn on the video and you're just working, and you're not necessarily talking on something about work. You're just there, and you just see each other, and say hi.
I'm going for a coffee.
Yeah, and if somebody feels they are getting disturbed, they can mute themselves, and they can also turn off their volume if they don't want to be part of the conversation. So I see how it would work, and that's definitely something innovative thinking, and
it's worth trying. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. Also, from a culture perspective, I had one question. People think 5 days a week. And some people are thinking, well, let's go for 4 days a week or so. And as an employer, they would have question about, reduce productivity. So my question is, less number of hours, will it really reduce the productivity? Or you think, it can actually increase? I mean, based on your experience.
I absolutely think it can increase. I don't think it's a given either way. I know there's been some recent research that actually shows the people that do 4 days and longer days actually are more productive than those that do 5 days, for example. So I think it can go, it can probably go either way. But I think the important thing to think about is that it's more about output than input. So, and I think if there's anything that's become even clearer through the pandemic and a lot of working from home, is that we can't micromanage remotely. So a lot of leaders, a lot of companies have had to become much more trusting and say, actually, I can't see what you're doing all the time, but if we can be really sensible about the goals that we set up, and actually not talking so much about exactly how someone gets there, but it's the fact that they get there, that also means people start to find solutions that may be better suited to them. As in, they might find that actually, now that I do it this way, I'm able to use some of my true strengths, and I'm able to actually deliver an even better result. So then I think that creates a mind shift in getting away from counting people's hours to actually looking at what they deliver in the end. So that has definitely become more of a shift, I would say. And I think everyone benefits from it, because it's also when you are trusted and you're given freedom to do work the way you want to do it, you tend to become more engaged. And actually you're seeing, you know, I'm valued here. I can see that I'm a really important person, and therefore I want to be here, which I think is also important to think about, because there's been so much upheaval over the last few years and people have changed jobs. And people tend to want to be somewhere where they're truly valued and they feel, you know, it matters that I'm here. Someone values me. It's not just that they're paying me a lot of money and therefore I'm happy to be there, because then I could easily be bought over by another company. It's that sense of belonging where you feel I'm part of something that matters and I matter. And then you get engaged and then you want to be there.
Hi there. I just wanted to share with you all why London School of Digital Business is doing this great people interview series. Well, for the last few years, small and medium businesses have been facing lots of challenges. Individuals have been wondering what's going to happen to their careers because of these emerging trends and technologies, artificial intelligence, VR, AR. What's going to happen? It feels as if the world is changing. And then COVID hit, and there is a lot of depression in the minds of people. So we thought we need to bring in some positivity, bring in some motivation and inspiration. And it's all good to know these stories of, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. But we wanted to talk about the extraordinary stories of the people that you get to see in the ordinary world. They are no way ordinary people. They are great people, but they are the ones you can relate to. Hence, we thought this is something that we want to bring in to increase the chances of success for many, motivate them, give them the insights. And I'm so happy to share that every leader has shared completely unique and different insights because their situations have been different. Somebody was alone, and we know that entrepreneurs are alone at the top and how it feels, and they fought their challenges. Somebody had partnership, business partners, and somebody could not survive the business partnership, so they had to rebuild themselves. Somebody thought, well, I could have done this differently if I was to go back in time. So every insight is so unique. I must thank all the people who shared their journeys, and I'm sure this will help you all succeed in life, increase the chances of your success, as well as reach there faster, and of course, achieve happiness in life. Thank you for listening. Amazing. With many of these business insights, let's try to move to the next section of our interview, which is to explore Elisabet as a person. Well, I guess you could give funny answers, or you could give, no answers. It's entirely up to you. So okay. If you were to go back in time, what you would have done differently?
I'm now thinking I probably should have been more focused in school. If I think back, I would have done differently. And I'm thinking today as well that I might have gotten more into sort of sciences and STEM and digital exploration and computing and all that kind. I've gotten increasingly intrigued by artificial intelligence, and particularly in combination with human intelligence. But that's probably what I would have done. I might have studied different things. Yeah.
Wow. Right. So, tell us what you do over the weekend and when you're not doing work.
Well, I'm not doing work. I love just relaxing. I love working out. There's various sports that I enjoy. I like cooking. I like traveling, meeting up with people. But obviously, probably most important, just spending time with my family and chilling out. And I have to say then, so the books that I write, and I write together with a close friend, and and colleague of mine called Mandy Flint. And I do find that at the weekends is also when I get some more time for writing, and I love writing.
Wow. Amazing. And just tell us more about your family.
So my family, there's 4 of us. There's my husband, he's British, and we have identical twin sons. Wow. Who are 19 years old, and they're about to start university in about a month's time or so. So yeah, big upheaval at the moment, time of change for sure.
Are they still identical at this age?
They are in many ways. Obviously, they try to look different, and they are, in a way, they are also quite different as individuals.
Yeah, but they would be. But yeah, people still get confused. Who is who?
Yes, they can do if they have similar haircut. It tends to be the hair that sets them apart, and they work hard at not looking the same, I guess. But yes, they are very much identical twins.
And you still have any of your friends and family back in Sweden? You're from Sweden,
right? Absolutely. So I've got my mum, and I've got my sister, and loads of relatives and best friends and colleagues, and I do quite a lot of work in Sweden as well. So I do go back there quite a lot.
And what's your favorite destination for holiday?
I have a few, but I think top of the list will be Italy. I sort of say Italy and Rome in particular is it's like my spiritual home. I don't think there is a place on earth where I feel so much like whenever I show up in Rome, I feel like I've come home. So wow. Italy for sure, and then probably second would be New Zealand. Absolutely adore New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand is beautiful as well. And I think Italy is a lot of culture. Wow. Yeah. Enough of culture we spoke already.
Yeah, I mean, no, but all sorts. And there's food, and there's architecture, and I mean, there is so much to like.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So the last part of the interview, which is to give insights to people on, what's your goal, ultimate goal of life, purpose of life, whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So I think, and I have reflected quite a lot on this, because some of the work that I've done over the years has been teaching self-leadership to people, as in to help people understand themselves and therefore what impact they're having on the world around them. And in the process, I've had a lot to do that for myself, of course, because you can't talk about something that you don't fully embrace yourself. So I think I've found over time that I want to make a difference to other people. I want people to be the happiest they can be. I want people to feel that they're able to contribute in some kind of way. And a lot of that becomes part of the workplace, because I'm of the strong opinion that it should be fun to work. And people don't always feel that. But we spend so much time at work. We need to do it somewhere where we feel it really matters to us. So I think a lot of it for me is to help people recognize what really matters to them, so that they can see that they're doing something that makes a difference and is something that matters to them. So I guess it's about purpose, helping people find their purpose and how they can achieve that, from a work perspective, a lot of the work that I do. But of course, it's also in your personal life, because I think when you start to see that there's a meaning to everything you do, and that you start to make the connections between, actually, when I'm doing this, it helps me contribute to this that's important to me, then that engages, it motivates, and it helps drive you forward. So that's probably at the core of everything that I do.
Well, I really like that. And I like the thought process that you carry there. The last question I have is, anything that you would like to advise to the audience, who are entrepreneurs, business owners, as well as students as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably links back to the whole idea of purpose, because I think really think about what matters to you. Whatever you're doing, do something that you are truly passionate about, not just something that might be a good business idea, because there's an extra layer of success, I think, and drive that comes from when you do something that matters to you. So find your big why. You know, why are you here? What is it that sets you apart? And really become clear on who you are, and therefore your strengths, you know, all of those kind of things. So it's not just chance that makes you go somewhere. It's more a question of knowing what is that internal driving force of yourself. You know, find yourself, find your voice in that, find your purpose. And then whatever you do, make sure that what you do, the work you do, in some kind of way contributes to what matters to you. Because it could be that someone, you know, their purpose in life is they want to cure cancer. You know, might not be that everything I do at work is about that, but it could be that I make connections or I can learn new things that helps me contribute in some kind of way outside of work towards that. So sometimes it's not necessarily just a straight line. It's seeing the bigger picture of everything that you do.
Amazing. I think, you know, that was a wonderful advice. I'm sure, you know, people would reflect onto their lives and find their why, and live a purposeful life. So this interview has been full of insights, you know, lots of new, fresh things to learn and hear. I'm sure audience would love this interview. Thank you once again for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck with your goals and purpose as well.
Thank you. You too. And it was so good to talk to you. So thank you.
Amazing. Thanks.